In the quiet village of Egba, there lived a young girl named Eniola. She was known for her beauty, kindness, and the way her laughter could light up any room. Yet, behind her smile was a pain that no one saw. Eniola's life had changed the day her father, married a new wife. Before her father's marriage, Eniola's life had been peaceful. She had a loving mother who cared for her, and her father was kind, though distant at times. However, her mother died when Eniola was still a child, and her father's world began to change. He remarried a woman from a nearby village, a woman named Ifeoma, who was as beautiful as she was cruel. When Ifeoma entered their home, everything began to shift. At first, she appeared sweet, and everyone welcomed her with open arms. But soon, her true nature began to show. Ifeoma was selfish and cold, and she began to favor her own children, treating Eniola like an outsider in her own home. Eniola's father, once a loving man, began to change as well. The soft and kind words he used to share with his daughter turned harsh and cutting. He no longer saw Eniola as his beloved daughter but as a burden. His temper grew shorter, and he would often lash out at her, blaming her for things she had never done. He let Ifeoma's cruelty toward Eniola go unchecked. The tension in their house grew unbearable, and it wasn't long before Eniola's life became a nightmare. She was made to do all the housework while Ifeoma and her children relaxed. Every evening, after a long day of chores, Eniola would retreat to a corner of their small hut, her heart heavy with sadness. Her father, who once treated her like a precious jewel, now spoke to her with disdain. "You are a burden to this house," he would say, his voice full of anger. He would hit her for the smallest of mistakes, telling her that she was useless, that she had no place in his heart anymore. One evening, Eniola walked to the village well to fetch water. The weight of her sorrow was crushing, and as she drew the water, she met an old woman sitting by the well. The woman looked at Eniola with wise, knowing eyes. "Child," the old woman said gently, "you carry a heavy heart. You suffer in silence, but the truth will free you." Eniola, too weary to speak, simply nodded. "I cannot speak. No one will believe me," the old woman smiled sadly. "The truth cannot be hidden forever. You must speak it aloud. Only then will you find peace." That night, Eniola gathered the courage to go to the village square, where the elders met. She stood before them, her hands trembling, but her voice strong. She told them everything about her father's cruelty, the mistreatment by her stepmother, and how she had been forced to carry the burden of their anger and neglect. As Eniola spoke, the villagers were silent. They had never known the truth of what happened in her home. When she finished, the elders looked at each other and then spoke. "We will not allow this to continue," they said. "You have shown us the truth. Your voice has broken the curse." The elders called for her father and stepmother to be confronted. Eniola's father, once a respected leader, stood in front of the villagers, his face pale with shame. His cruelty could no longer be ignored, and the villagers, who had once seen him as a good man, now saw him for what he truly was. He was cast out of the village, and his new wife, Ifeoma, was also banished. Eniola was finally free from their cruelty. One day, not long after her father's departure, a surprising opportunity came into Eniola's life. The king of the neighboring village visited Egba with his wife, Queen Adana, to see the people who had shown such courage in standing against cruelty. When Queen Afolek laid eyes on Eniola, she was struck by her strength, grace, and the sorrow that still lingered in her eyes. The queen spoke to Eniola, learning about her struggles and the bravery it took for her to speak up. "You are a strong young woman," Queen Adana said with admiration. "I see greatness in you, and I believe you deserve a better future." With a smile, the queen extended a hand. "I will offer you a scholarship to study at the university in the city. You have the potential to rise above this pain and build a life full of opportunity." Eniola could hardly believe it. Her dreams of a better life, of education and freedom, were finally coming true. The kindness of the queen, a stranger to her, had opened a door that Eniola had never dared to imagine. She accepted the offer with tears of gratitude. Eniola traveled to the city, leaving behind the village that had once been a prison to her. There, she flourished. Her mind grew sharp, her heart healed, and she began to realize that her past no longer had to define her future. Eniola never forgot Queen Afolake's kindness. The queen had given her not just an education, but a second chance at life, a chance she would use to help others who had suffered as she had. Through her strength and the queen's generosity, Eniola became a beacon of hope for those who needed it most. In the village of Egba, Eniola's name became known as a symbol of resilience and courage. She taught others that speaking the truth could break even the darkest curses. And that sometimes, the kindness of a stranger could change the course of a life forever.